We are ripping a mock draft. No, we're not doing an underdog draft. That'll be later on this week, but we are doing Fantasy Pro mock draft simulator because I'll be honest, some of these values, this feels like your home league. Super pumped to see how this turns out. We're doing it full PPR on ESPN. We are going to, of course, do a little bit of a randomizer on the pick position, and we end up with the 9th overall pick, and let's get this thing going. We started off here, and we see a bunch of wide receivers start to come off the board early. We got CMC, CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, AJ Brown, Breece Hall. That's typically how we're going to see these drafts go. And when we're sitting here, of course, the big difference for me at the 109 is I want to get a league winner, a game breaker. And that person for me here is going to be Bijan Robinson. I don't absolutely love going robust RB in drafts, but like we said, this early second round range is always a little bit interesting. Probably need to start hammering the wide receiver position. And to be completely honest here, for me, we've been doing a lot of underdog drafts. This is full PPR format. Devontae Adams would be someone that's interesting. Marvin Harrison Jr. someone that's interesting, but ultimate level ceiling. I know we've seen it from Devontae Adams the last 2 seasons, but I'm going to be going with Marvin Harrison Jr. because we do have that stacking option with Kyler Murray later on. Now, the second round has been pretty brutal as of late. Here's the current draft board with how things have gone. Of course, right now we're at Bijan with Marvin Harrison Jr. Third round's gone pretty interesting. We had a little bit of run on running backs. Rachaad White, that's an interesting value here. But we are back on the clock. And of course, we could look at their suggestions. They're overall suggesting a guy like a Mike Evans, which honestly, I'm leaning going Mike Evans as much as a guy like Sam Laporta to get that overall tight end 1. Even after seeing Travis Kelce off the board, I'm going to go with Mikey Evans. We solidified ourselves with an elite level running back, and then we got Marvin Harrison Jr., but then we also got another wide receiver 1 in Mike Evans that I absolutely love. Now, we are sitting here in the 4th round at the 404, and we could go in a bevy of different ways. Tight end, there's some interesting options like a Dalton Kincaid, Trey McBride, and Mark Andrews. I think one of those are going to fall back to us. Wide receivers, a guy like Malik Neighbors, I absolutely love in the 4th. Now, that is pretty risky with this build because we already went with Marvin Harrison Jr., so I'm a little bit hesitant on that. We could, of course, we see a lot of the quarterback values we could definitely wait on, but for me, seeing Patrick Mahomes right here, it's a pretty big tier gap for me between Patrick Mahomes and a guy like Anthony Richardson, even though I think Anthony Richardson has the same points per game difference. And we saw Josh Allen go at the 305. So the fact that we're almost getting a whole round later of value on Patrick Mahomes hit me up with Patrick Mahomes. So right now we have Bijan Robinson, Mike Evans, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Patrick Mahomes on this lineup. I'm feeling great about it. And we'll address the wide receiver position in a bit, but I was hoping a tight end would fall, and Mark Andrews ended up falling to us here. So right now, I know this is not always how your drafts are going to go. Your guys aren't always going to fall value-wise appropriate to you. But I mean, right now, when we're looking at our team, Bijan, Marvin Harrison Jr., Mike Evans, Patrick Mahomes, Mark Andrews, we feel absolutely great. Now, since we already got our elite level tight end and our elite level quarterback, we're absolutely going to have to hammer the running back and wide receiver positions. And right here, wide receiver-wise, I do love some George Pickens. I also love Calvin Ridley, Chris Godwin, but we'll be going with George Pickens. And so right now, as our wide receiver core, Marvin Harrison Jr., George Pickens, Mike Evans, I'm feeling pretty good about this current roster. So when we're looking now at our other suggestions, we're going to have to pick up some more running backs a little bit later on. I think for me, I'm going to go Jayden Reed. He's the best available player here. And we're really cementing our team here so far. So I absolutely love Jayden Reed. The issue for me with Jayden Reed versus all the other wide receivers in the Green Bay Packers organization, there's a lot to be a little bit worried about in regards to Jayden Reed's overall upside. But I just think with the offense that Jordan Love is going to be doing in year 2 of him being a full-time starter, absolutely love it. So when we're looking at our current team right here over to the left, we got Patrick Mahomes, Bijan, Marvin Harrison Jr., Mike Evans, Mark Andrews, George Pickens, Jayden Reed. I'm absolutely feeling great about it, but we do need to start addressing the running back position because we have gone hero RB up to this point. So Brian Robinson Jr., I talked about him being a little bit undervalued right now with his current ADP. I don't love him as an RB1. As a fringe RB2, I do absolutely love it. And so here we are back on the clock, and a bunch of wide receivers went off the board, a bunch of guys with upside. You know, maybe I should have gone with a guy like Trey Benson over Brian Robinson just based on the overall upside, but I'm not regretting it. We got our solidified starting lineup here going forward. We can look at all the positions. There are some really great tight ends still here. So maybe if you're drafting according to Fantasy Pros, like I said, I'm using ESPN's rankings right now, you can definitely wait on tight end a little bit. I'm happy that I got Mark Andrews. I think Mark Andrews is going to be a top 3 tight end. But when we're sitting here, there's some interesting wide receivers still on the board, and a lot of these running backs are in the same tier for me. So it's between Ladd, Rome, and Christian Watson. We already have the Green Bay Packers stack with Jayden Reed, so I'm actually going to be going with Ladd McConkey here. Only real target there in the Chargers offense. So we're back up on the clock, and we definitely need to address the running back position. Antonio Gibson's interesting with New England, but he is going to be the number 2. Chuba, as much as people think he's going to be the number 2, Jonathan Brooks is coming off of injury. So I'm going to actually take a chance with Chuba Hubbard as my RB3 on this bench. And we're going to be back up in a few picks. And I don't typically do this because there's not always a ton of value. But right now for me, Jake Ferguson could potentially be a flex level option for us as our backup tight end. So like I said, guys, this is a 12-man league and we're getting some incredible values here late in the draft. Now, I'm not saying that this would be something that we're always doing, going early tight end where we essentially have 2 top 8 tight ends in my personal opinion. But when the value does fall to you like this, you have to do it. And here's the overall draft board for you guys to kind of see. Absolutely loving our team. We definitely need to address the running back position pretty hard here. So we'll go with Khalil Herbert. I know they brought in DeAndre Swift, the Chicago Bears did. You still got Roshan Johnson, but Khalil Herbert, if something were to happen, he's definitely a great handcuff with upside. And like I said, we're going to just have to be selecting a lot of these guys because our team needs, we need to address the running back position pretty heavy. So we're going to be back on the clock in the 14th. And to be honest, a guy like Justin Herbert is still on the board here, which makes me a little bit intrigued by that. Tua is also on the board, but our boy Pop Douglas is on the board. So we will slide in and grab Pop Douglas. I like Pop Douglas as a late round sleeper. In your drafts going forward, Pop Douglas is that type of guy. And of course, we saw all the quarterbacks go off the board. I was really hoping a guy like Justin Herbert was going to fall to us, but that didn't end up happening. So we're back on the clock. And like I said, we took that elite level QB so we can kind of continue to wait and push off that overall QB. There's some interesting wide receivers still on the board, but if honestly we're looking at our current roster, and what we need, we really just need another defense and kicker just for the starting lineup sake because we're at the end. So give me the best defense currently available. I like the Philadelphia Eagles. I know a lot of people are going to say I should have drafted the Pittsburgh Steelers. It is what it is. Depends on how you view that. And then I'll just go with the best kicker, which is Cammy Farbarn. So if we look at our overall team and our values, I'm absolutely loving the fact that we have an elite level QB, an elite level running back. We have 2 shots and an elite level wide receiver. We have an elite level tight end, and we have a lot of depth with upside on our bench. Now, the biggest worry that would have to happen with this team that we just drafted is the fact of if Bijan Robinson were to get hurt, and we have Brian Robinson, Chuba Hubbard, Khalil Herbert, Elijah Mitchell, probably not feeling too good. But the thing is, with this being a full PPR, we're banking on all these other positions. We got the positional advantage at tight end and the positional advantage at quarterback to really help us make it through the season. So let me know what you think of this team. Let me know what you think of these current values. Am I going a little crazy? Do you like the values? Appreciate everyone for tuning in. Hit that like and subscribe button if you're new, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.